I dream a lot about rewilding. It's usually the thing I think about just before I fall asleep at night. After I completed the first couple of sections of rewilding, I started to dream about having the path continue to the other corner of the yard. Let's get started with rewilding and extending the path. Whenever I visit Nature's Way Resources, I always buy plants, but also visit their rock pile to see if there are any stones I can use. I really should have a truck, but my Mazda 6 has done an amazing job allowing me to haul plants and rocks to create this garden. Getting this rock in and out of the trunk was a major issue, and now I need to move it to where the path will continue, and I don't know if I can do it. It's so freaking heavy. So that's where it's got to go. Let's give it a shot. Although I'm not as strong or have the same endurance I did when I was younger, I'm always pleased when I am able to accomplish a difficult physical task. Every time I step on this stone along the path, it makes me smile. Wow. So yes, I'm starting the next section. I'm going to take out the metal edging between the garden and the non-rewilded and start rewilding towards the front door and extending the path. It is great to move the metal edging further into the yard as it represents a new milestone in the size of the garden. Many of you have provided excellent feedback on different ideas or equipment to use to make the task I undertake much easier. Keep the comments coming as we all learn, and it gives us ideas on how to make rewilding easier. The drought this summer has made me appreciate rain more than ever. I don't mind if it rains on me, although it does make the work a little more messy. I will not be rewilding the front section of the yard in this episode, but to be able to complete the path, I decided to embed the stepping stones into the yard for the time being. This section will connect with an existing section through the front bed, and then with the current path established in the rewilded section. As I worked on embedding these stones, I wondered what creatures may make their home under one of them or one of the other stones in the garden. Stones and logs create important habitat for many wildlife creatures. I continue to work really hard to keep the cost down on this project, as I want to show rewilding does not have to cost a lot of money. I've only used a shovel and bucket. While I have bought some mulch when no leaves are available, I have used primarily free leaf litter collected from landscapers. The big cost remains buying native plants, which I will address in a future episode. The presence of mushrooms is one indicator of soil health. I am starting to see more mushrooms in the garden. I was recently asked why I garden, and I had to think about it for a while, but realized my reasons for gardening have changed over the years. In my 20s, it was about growing vegetables and keeping a nice, neat yard to be a good neighbor. And I got into basically planting as many trees as possible on the property we lived at and using ground cover underneath those trees so that I didn't have to mow it, and conserving water as I didn't water the ground cover. Most recently I took the Texas Master Naturalist program, and reading Doug Talmey's book, those two things changed my purpose for gardening to, in essence, improving wildlife habitat or providing wildlife habitat. I also want to make sure that this is pleasing to people and that they enjoy it, and based on the feedback I'm getting from people that walk by, I would say they are enjoying at least watching the process I'm going through. Most importantly, it has to be pleasing to the executive producer I live with, and she actually is enjoying the garden quite a bit and taking pictures of the butterflies and bugs that we see along with the beautiful flowers. I'm kind of curious why you garden, or if your purpose for gardening has changed over the years. I'd like to hear from you, and if you leave a comment, I'd just like to hear your story on this subject. So I'm taking out some of the stones and trying to make the path curve a little more gradually so it's not so harsh of a left turn. I think it'll look better and be more pleasing. As I edited this video, I realized I moved one stone to replace it with another, almost in the exact same location. But the stone does seem to fit better. I have wanted to generate a video on native versus non-native plants since episode 3, but each time I have started to put it together, I realize I don't have the knowledge. I'm digging up agapanthus to replant even though it is non-native. I have so many non-native plants in my yard it makes me sick. Stay tuned for a future episode on this subject. I figure I need another 5 stones to finish the path. Even though I recognize moving the metal edging to a new location is temporary, it helps so much in defining the area I'm going to work and gives me a goal. Sometimes I don't realize just how temporary moving and installing the metal edging is going to be. Probably should have asked my wife before hammering it into the ground. So the executive producer came out and asked that I consider adding a little bit of curve into the path versus what I have now is more straight. And then second, she asked that I consider putting some curve in the metal edging, and I've already done that. I think it looks better, so that was a great recommendation. And hopefully you'll think it looks better when I'm done. So you can see the current stones I've collected, and this is for a water feature, so let me show you where I'd like to put that. I want to create a pondless water feature which will be constructed in a future episode. My goal is to complete prior to the spring neotropical bird migration in April. This front section of my yard has a slight slope toward the street. I want the water feature to be a 10-foot stream. I realize that sounds ambitious. It's all part of the dream. So here's the completed path from one end to the other. There are 2 things you may notice. First, There is a lot of empty space in the garden, which I need to plant. Second, I have planted some annuals in the new section to give the garden some color as we wait for spring. The neighborhood children have discovered the path is continuous, and I see them walking and running along the path all the time, which is fantastic. I am humbled by the enthusiasm and the encouragement I feel when reading your comments. This has led me to dream even bigger. I hope you'll join me on the continuing episodes of Rewilding a Suburban Yard.